system is a painful but worthy cause, as acting president urged Nigerians to hold government accountable. Plus, 78th meeting of the National Economic Council outlined measures that will improve the state of prisons in Nigeria. This is Panorama Today. I am Lydia Bassi. Tax-paying citizens have a right to hold government accountable and demand service delivery. Acting President Yemi Osinbajo, at the launch of voluntary assets and income declaration scheme, said improving the tax system is a painful but worthy cause. Leah Katung Babatunde has the details.
Taxation has been used as means for raising revenue to provide essentials for the citizens. The number of taxpayers in Nigeria is put at 14 million by the Joint Tax Board as at May 2017, out of the more than 69.9 million economically active persons. However, Nigeria's 6% tax ratio to GDP ranks her among the lowest in the world despite being a strong economic power on the continent. Improving service delivery has been a quest these governments seek to fulfill by joining the global initiative to tackle problems of illicit financial flows and tax evasion, which has contributed to the country's underdevelopment. Chief among the defaulters of the tax regime as identified by the acting president are the high net worth, self-employed, professionals and companies.
VATES will offer a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to those in default to regularize their tax affairs. In exchange for full and honest declaration, taxpayers will receive immunity from prosecution, forgiveness of penalty and interest that is due on unpaid taxes, and the full assurance that all information provided will remain confidential.
And so today we need to have a step change in the issue of tax payment and tax compliance in Nigeria.
The 9-month window provided by the federal government seeks to allow Nigerians voluntarily declare their assets and income in totality, as revenue shortage continues to be a drawback to development.
We need to rethink how we're going to get money to take responsibility of Nigerians and Nigerians as of this government.
From the legislature, we are available to pass whatever legislations that require to be passed in order to move this forward.
We're very aware of the constitutional issues between the federal and the states. But this is one program that they have decided to work together.
The 7,500 community tax liaison officers being recruited through the NPower scheme will be used to drive home the voluntary assets and income declaration initiative. In Abuja, I'm Lekatu Babatunde.
The European Union says it will scale up its efforts towards Nigeria's institutional, political and economic development for a more prosperous future, rather than offer more financial support. Ambassador and head of EU delegation to Nigeria and ECOWAS affirmed this in a lecture on 40 years of EU in Nigeria, lessons learned and the way forward, held in Abuja. Justin Bemuni was there.
Over a 40-year evolution period, EU-Nigeria relations have developed from a loose economic cooperation between an emerging African state and the 9-member European Economic Commission to a vibrant partnership dealing with issues as diverse as climate change, peace and security. The European Union now has a new agenda and strategy of partnership in addressing institutional, societal and global challenges. With the consideration that Nigeria remains a key partner of the EU in view of the role it plays in global affairs, especially Africa, the EU has proposed more political, policy dialogue, technical assistance, capacity building, transfer of technology, advocacy for more private investments and other innovative sources of funding. The shift in the global strategy, the head of EU delegation to Nigeria and ECOWAS says, is now a focus on peace, people, planet and partnership.
The EU is the first client and the EU is the first supplier of Nigeria. You cannot diversify your economy, you cannot diversify your exploitation without having a trade agreement with us. Right?
Africa's development fate lies in the hands of Nigerians and Africans. Europe cannot develop Nigeria. Europe cannot develop Africa for us.
For Africa to maintain that development strand, we need to break all barriers. There should be free movement within the Africa.
In its 40 years of engagement with Nigeria, EU says it has, in line with Nigeria's identified priorities, funded projects to stimulate the economy, reduce hunger and disease, enhance institutional capacities, encouraging good governance and fighting insecurity. In Abuja, Justin Bemunyi, NTA News.
The 78th meeting of the National Economic Council has ended in Abuja with a resolve to take far-reaching emergency measures towards improving the state of prisons in the country. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo has details on this and other issues discussed at the meeting.
By Acting President Yemi Osinbajo, the National Economic Council was brought up to speed by the Minister of Interior and the Comptroller General of the Nigeria Prison Service on the state of Nigerian prisons, painting a very appalling picture of structures, logistics, as well as overcrowded nature. The meeting resolved that whatever it takes should be done towards improving the situation.
NEC viewed that there should be an emergency situation in terms of our prisons, so that these people that are supposed to be reformed while there should not be further hardened.
The Senior Special Assistant to the President on the Sustainable Development Goals gave an update on the implementation of the program, calling for synergy amongst the three tiers of government towards meeting urgent environmental, social, and economic challenges.
One very significant thing that the Senior Special Assistant also advocated for is for the governors to have either a commissioner or Senior Special Assistant to oversee MDGs, so that MDG will be properly supervised and then properly evaluated and monitored.
The Minister of Health and the Director General of NACA also briefed the Council on the sustainability of the HIV response, stressing the need to increase public sector funding.
We specifically requested for the issue of HIV to be prioritized in every state budget. In particular, we wanted 0.5 to 1% of the monthly federal allocation to states to be set aside for financing the implementation of the HIV/AIDS response to upscale treatment among at least 50% of the current estimates of people living with HIV.
On the issue of budget support to states whose implementation ended last month, the governors made a case for sustainability in view of the prevailing economic recession.
Acting President approved that the facility should continue pending when other claims of the state and local government will be settled.
Meanwhile, Nigeria has a balance of $2.3 billion in the excess crude account, 28.5 billion naira in the stabilization account, 87.6 billion naira in the Natural Resources Development Fund, and 28.9 billion naira in the Ecological Fund. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Participants at a retreat on global best practices in utilizing the 2017 additional financing of community and social development projects in Nigeria have warned against hiccups in sustaining social development projects in rural communities. Garba Mohammed Nata'ala reports.
774 local government areas made up of hundreds of community settlements requiring a variety of social infrastructure. Government tasks at all levels, experts say, are caught out. The scarce resources to meet these demands means adequate planning and prudent management must be imbibed. And that is what this retreat, which participants are drawn from 26 states of the Federation, is addressing. Here, government functionaries in ministries, departments and agencies at state and local levels are working to strengthen partnership with the federal advisory units and the World Bank on social development projects implementation in rural communities.
All the states need to have poverty map approved by the State Executive Council, and that the State Executive Council should also direct the state agencies to focus on specified local governments that have been adjudged to be poorest among all the local governments.
Now they are moving into what we could call another phase of the project, where they have gotten extra money from the World Bank and of course money from government as well, to move on to 2020, which is the next end date of the funding from the World Bank.
That has helped us as a state to be able to touch at the community level. You go to a particular state, so many companies have benefited from the projects, and the requests are still coming on a daily basis because of the transparency the honesty, for the effectiveness of the operation.
A framework for implementation of social development projects is being worked out by the retreat to facilitate the utilization of the additional $250 million from the World Bank. In Abuja, Garba Muhammad Natala, NT News.
The federal government has appointed new resident electoral commissioners for the states. The appointment is contained in a statement issued by the Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation. The details.
Appointees are Professor Godwill Obioma, Abia State, James Lolian Apan, Benue State, Dr. Nwachuku Oji, Ebonyi, Dr. Ilo Joseph Valentine Chooks, Enugu State, Dr. Nentawe Goshwe Yilwada, Plateau, Umar Ibrahim, Taraba State, Emeka Ononamadu Joseph, Imo, Obo Efanga, Cross River, Professor Francis Chukwemeka Eziondo, Anambra, Dr. Briye Frankland, Bayelsa, Ibrahim Abdullahi, Adamawa, and Agboke Mutiu Olalike, Ogun State. Also, the reappointed resident electoral commissioner is Alhaji Ahmed Makama Bauchi. The statement notes that all the appointees have been confirmed by the Senate and the appointments are with immediate effect.
You can watch this news live online via the NTA mobile app, which you can download on your Android device at the Google Play Store or at the Apple Store if you use devices with iOS. You're watching NTA Panorama. Let's pause for some messages. Stay tuned. Don't go away.
The struggle for independence had been a long and tough one. Our founding fathers and compatriots sacrificed their comfort and even shed their blood. We cannot at this point in history afford to spirit away their sacrifices for immediate but temporary gains of today. Let us emphasize what unites and not what divides us. Working for the unity of purpose with a stronger vision for a better tomorrow. NTA, growing with the nation.
Together, no matter where you come from, no matter your religion, we are one. Let's live together. Let's stop fighting each other. Let us live as one. It doesn't matter where you come from, your tribe or religion, man, woman or child. It doesn't matter who you are. Put Nigeria first. No matter where you come from, no matter your religion, we are one. Let's live together.
How can we develop when we're always in crisis? Families have become refugees in their country. No matter our differences, show some understanding.
No matter where you come from, no matter your religion, we are one. Let's live together.
Nigeria, the only country we can train with remarkable potentials to excel. Let us believe in ourselves and change our attitude for the sake of our country and generations unborn. Let us revive our cultural values, which are our essence as a nation. Let us renew the spirit of patriotism and hope in our dear country. Do not take or give bribe. Be punctual always. No more African time. We can't expect to be global citizens and operate on African time. Join the queue. Insist that people are attended to on a first-come basis, no matter who they are or where they come from.
Nigeria, good people, great nation.
Welcome back. You're still watching Panorama on the network service of the NTA. We now join Kaduna studios with Abdullahi speaking with the Commissioner of Police on kidnapping. Abdullahi, you're on.
Thanks for joining us in Kaduna, Lydia. I am here with the Kaduna State Commissioner of Police, and he's going to tell us what the police is doing to tackle the menace of kidnapping, especially on the Abuja-Kaduna Expressway. Thank you for joining us in our studios this afternoon.
Thank you, Abdullahi.
All right, let's first of all look at the reason why the Kaduna-Abuja Expressway is prone to kidnapping.
I think the highway is very unique because it links most of the northern states, and it has a concentration of commercial activities, and also it's a transit route. Okay. So I think that makes it easier. And then, because of the topography of this area, we have a lot of forests which are inaccessible by any form of transportation. And so I think these criminals find it as a haven to perpetrate such criminal activities.
Is there any particular flashpoint that you have been able to discover?
Regina in particular.
Okay.
Sabongaya. And we've taken care of all these places with the recent deployment of police components and logistics. And since we launched this exercise, we've not recorded any incident of kidnapping on that highway any longer.
Since those flashpoints, have been, established, what kind of relationship, has been developed so far with the communities, to be able to tackle this menace?
One of the points that is actually of concern to us is Regina, and it will interest you to know that when we discover that some members of the community are actually colluding with these criminals, we, with the permission of the state government, invited all the district heads and traditional rulers in this area. Okay. We parleyed with them and for the need to cooperate with law enforcement agencies, and that they've been doing, and we've been on speaking terms with most of the district heads, especially based on informations. There is, I think we are faring well.
How has that helped?
Of recent, as a matter of fact, we've arrested about 15 kidnappers that actually participated in some of these kidnappings. And some of the GSM phones belonging to the victims were recovered from them, and some SIM cards. And also, we have some very smart victims who were able to identify these kidnappers. And they are undergoing interrogation and will be brought to justice very soon.
Let's look at how successful this special task force, launched recently. What kind of success has it been able to achieve?
Yeah, I think when arrests are made in connection with the particular crimes, that means there are level of successes. We have actually made arrests, and these suspects were not merely arrested based on suspicion. They were based on information and intelligence gathering, and most of them were picked even in Regina. And then Marabang, Jos, and Kachia, some of these areas, they left the forest to go and stay with. Some of them actually have families in these areas. So, but they go to the bush to carry out these activities of kidnapping.
We know that most times if pressure is mounted on a particular, place or area that they operate, they move on to other places. What are you doing in terms of, tackling that kind of,
Yes, of recent we also came up with this idea of our neighboring states. Okay. Because as we are carrying out this operation in Kaduna, because Kaduna is surrounded by bordered by a lot of states, Niger, Zamfara, Katsina, Kano. So you find out, and we have a common link with the forest. So if we operate here, they push to the other side. But in the case of Kaduna, we know that as soon as we mount pressure on Abuja-Kaduna road, definitely one place becomes vulnerable, and that's Brenegwari road. And simultaneously, we did the deployment of police to these areas, and also took care of Zaria Road, because these are the flashpoints that kidnapping along the highway occurs. So, but we've taken care of this.
What should I do, to avoid being a target for kidnappers?
Honestly, these people are criminals, and you don't preempt what they are thinking as an individual. Okay. But I think our timing is very important, time we transit within these routes are very, very important. Okay. Sometimes the information about your movements are given by people who know you. So it's very, very difficult for you to really, but the most important thing is to be careful, and what you say, what you do, and even your lifestyle can attract you to kidnapping, because kidnappers need money. They demand for ransom, and they want people who can afford to pay for ransom. So I think we have to be careful. We sometimes do not actually tell everybody where we're going, the time we're leaving. These are all very essential to your security.
Especially those posting their movement on, the social media.
Yes. Of recent, we find out that the social media has become a site for kidnappers to browse through, because we find even information about family, homes, everything is now in the social media. People who are living for Abuja, maybe from Kaduna, say, oh, I'll be on my way to the airport. I will be in Abuja for a meeting. You're already telling the whole world where you'll be. And in this sites, kidnappers probe through it every time.
A quick one. If I, find myself, a victim in their den, what should I do to help myself? A quick one.
Just be careful, don't make any wrong move, because these people, honestly, I believe some of them are on drugs and the rest, they don't have value for human life. They can, at any moment, waste you. So I think you be calm, be patient, don't argue with them so much, just do exactly what they ask you to do, so that at this point, the police is also, we have some tracking devices and we're working on. Their conversation most of the times are going to be monitored, and that's why you see that we pick them up.
Thank you very much for coming to our studios, Commissioner.
Thank you for having me here.
Lydia, I think you can take over from here. We're done with the Commissioner here.
Thank you, Abdullahi. That was Abdullahi from our Kaduna studio speaking with the Commissioner of Police, Kaduna, on kidnapping. Moving on now, involving the youth in the constitution review process has been described as a crucial step towards rapid socio-economic advancement of Nigeria. A member of the House of Representatives, Honorable Raphael Igbokwe, stated this at a youth stakeholders forum in Abuja. Abdullahi Suleiman Iyaji reports.
The National Youth Policy of Nigeria defines a young person as one within the range of 18 to 35 years. With a population of over 180 million, the Nigerian youths constitute 60%, a figure grappling to achieve representation in key areas of decision-making. This is the motivating factor for the Westminster Foundation for Democracy, an organization keen on enhancing the chances of the youths in realizing their full potentials.
The political and economic empowerment, co-inclusion of young people is a sine qua non for the success of any government or nation.
We need to look at strategic direction from rhetorics to actionable activities that can better enhance youth participation and electoral representation.
We support the Not Too Young to Run bill. And I was in the National Assembly the other day to push for a bill that have to remove the restriction on Student Union Act.
Outcomes of the meeting will be used to develop a 3-year proposal for a robust youth empowerment program. In Abuja, Abdullahi Suleiman Iyaji, NTA News.
And now sports. Germany to face Chile in the FIFA Confederation Cup final after beating Mexico 4-1 Thursday. Meanwhile, 36 golfers from 7 countries are vying for honors at IBB International Golf and Country Club Abuja as the National Hockey Super League season kicks off July 8. Tamara Ibiwe has more on Sports Update.